1919 was an auspicious year in history. The First World War ended, ushering a drastic change in the world order. The Philippine Islands had been a U.S. territory for 2 decades and was promised independence under the Jones Law of 1916. Progressive reformers saw the country and its people as a major target for modernization, and education was its main weapon. 7 forward-looking Filipinas came together in 1919 to create a school where young women could gain the knowledge and skills that would make them modern women. Paz Marquez Benitez was the first president of the Philippine Women's College. Jose Abad Santos was its first chairman of the Board of Trustees. Francisca Tirona Benitez was the second president, and with her husband Dean Conrado, guided the school from a house on A. Flores Street to its iconic Taft Avenue campus. In 1932, the college became a university, making PWU the first university for women in Asia founded by Asians. It provided a space where innovations in education flourished, and young people were encouraged to be the best that they could be. For over 100 years, the Philippine Women's University has been known as a leader in quality education. In 1934, PWU moved into its main campus on Taft Avenue, and since the 1970s has been co-educational. Located in the heart of Metro Manila, it is easily accessible by public transport and surrounded by affordable housing. Today's PWU offers undergraduate and graduate courses in several fields of study. Its business and management programs are responsive to the needs of industry, using evolving technology for global competence. PWU graduates excel in arts and sciences, education, social work, and diplomacy. Its fine arts and music programs have produced outstanding graduates through a holistic education that treasures heritage as well as excellence. PWU has pioneered in fields such as food science, nutrition and dietetics, medical technology, pharmacy, and nursing. PWU continues to play an essential role in producing graduates who possess the skills that make them competitive in the country and anywhere in the world.
puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyat ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiid, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bukaw, may dilagang tulat, awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig, lupa ng araw ng walat ito't sinaboy langit sa piling mo, aming ligaya dapat may mga ami ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to the first session of our webinar series, Transforming Consumers' Perception Towards Healthy Food Options. My name is Amado Martinez, or Mads for short, and joining me to the first part of this session is Ms. Rhea M. Robles.
Good morning, everyone, and we would like to acknowledge the presence of our dear President, Mr. Marco Alfredo M. Benitez, our Dean Emeritus, Dr. Ignacio S. Pablo, Dean, School of Food Science and Technology, Dr. Maria Ligaya T. Braganza, our Food Safety and Hygiene Consultant, Mr. Glenn Hyde de la Cruz, our teachers from PWU, our dear classmates, our alumni, and our dear participants from different regions. As of this moment, we have 468 viewers from our Facebook page, and on our YouTube, we have 61 viewers now watching. So before we begin the program proper, there are some reminders for our participants. Please be reminded of the house rules of our webinar. Please ensure a stable internet connection, and there will be a 5-minute question and answer session after the speaker's presentation. And please type in your question at the chat box. For the evaluation form, please click the link at the chat box after the morning session or afternoon session. And all evaluations should be turned in 12:30 p.m. for the morning session. So only registered participants who completed the evaluation form will receive the e-certificate. And also, another reminder, we will have a separate certificate for the morning and afternoon session.
Okay, at this time, let us welcome the President of Philippine Women's University for his opening remarks.
Dr. Felina Yang, University Chancellor and SVPAA, Dr. Ligaya Braganza, Program Chair of the PW School of Food Science and Technology, our distinguished speakers, presenters, hardworking faculty, students and guests watching on our social media platforms, good morning. I would like to welcome all of you to this whole-day research colloquium organized by our students from the Master in Food Safety Management and MS Food Science programs with the theme, Food Quality and Food Safety, the right mix to a healthier lifestyle. Throughout the webinar, our speakers will be discussing various topics related to food safety, quality, and their benefits, such as how certain types of food produce not only physiological but also emotional benefits, or how functional foods deliver benefits that extend beyond their nutritional value, and even different methods of producing food, some of which are obviously healthier than others. In addition to these, our speakers will also be looking at different strategies on how to future-proof and safeguard current methods of producing safe and healthy foods. Many experts have said that apart from vaccines, our best defense against COVID-19 is by leading a healthy lifestyle, which includes regular exercise, adequate sleep and rest, and a healthy diet rich in nutritious food that boosts our immune system. Specifically, this means a healthy diet rich in fruits and vegetables, reducing the intake of fats, free sugars, and salt, and eating just the right amount of food for our body and activity levels. This was made all the more difficult with the community quarantines confining us to our homes for the better part of 2 years. Coupled with reduced mobility, exercise, and the natural tendency to binge on unhealthy snacks when stressed, many have experienced deteriorated health conditions apart from the anxiety of being infected with COVID 19. Nonetheless, as the number of COVID cases gradually declines with more and more people getting vaccinated, as businesses and the economy slowly reopen, and people begin to move around more freely, while of course still observing the recommended health protocols, we will eventually overcome this dreaded disease. And our focus must return to the bigger picture of our overall health. That is why we definitely welcome webinars and research colloquia such as this to further our knowledge and understanding on food safety and quality and their benefits to a healthier lifestyle. So congratulations once again to the organizers and today's presenters, and I look forward to a day of wonderful insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our dear president. But before our first speaker discuss her topic, we wanted to see the participation of our dear attendees by answering a very quick poll question. So kindly scan the QR code shown in your screen or click the link in the video description or the comment section for our participants using Facebook or YouTube. So please do enter your email address, your name, and your contact number and answer the question provided. So there will be two lucky winners from those who will get the right answer, and they will receive 100 pesos worth of love. Okay, so let's just read the question. Which of the following is considered real happy food? So we have four choices. Letter A, pizza. Letter B, donuts. Letter C, nuts. And letter D, fries. Okay, so let's take our pick, and you have a minute to key in your answer. Okay. So again, letter A, pizza. Letter B, donuts. Letter C, nuts. And letter D, fries. Okay, 30 seconds more. Okay, 10 seconds more. Okay, time is up. Thank you so much, dear participants, for answering the poll question. I know everybody is energized with our poll questions, but let us all hear our first speaker in teaching us how to be healthy and at the same time improve our mood. No more mood swings, right, Mads?
Yes, indeed. Let us see what are the foods that will boost our mood with our first speaker. Moving right along, it is now my pleasure to introduce our first speaker. She earned her bachelor's degree in food technology from Batangas State University and currently working as a part-time instructor at the Cavite State University and Batangas State University. Her previous professional expertise before her teaching profession was a quality assurance analyst or laboratory analyst. Let us all welcome Miss Ana Marie M. Marasigan.
Good morning! Thank you, Mads, for that introduction. Mapagpalang umaga sa ating lahat. It's a beautiful Friday morning. Kamusta po kayo? I hope everyone's doing good, and just in case you're feeling a little off and you need something to lift your mood and feel good, then this presentation is perfect for you. Because for the next 30 minutes, we will be talking about foods that could boost our moods. Just a reminder to our viewers, the following information is not a substitute for qualified medical opinion. All right. Okay, so what to expect in this presentation? So we will be talking about foods and moods and their relationship. The difference between happy foods and comfort foods will also be discussed. And of course, the mood boosting foods and their food safety risk. So, okay, so let's begin. Okay, so mood disorders are the leading cause of disability in the world. As per definition, a mood disorder is a mental health problem that primarily affects a person's emotional state. According to World Health Organization, 300 million people worldwide experience depression. In the Philippines, 3.3 million Filipinos and 3.1 million suffer from depression and anxiety, respectively. At this time of pandemic, many factors trigger our mental health conditions, like fear, bereavement, isolation, and loss of income. In fact, 53% of Filipino workers had experienced mental health challenges during this global health crisis. In relation to food, research shows that individuals experiencing emotional distress are craving for sweets, carbohydrate-rich, and fat-rich foods. However, recent research indicates that the sugary and high-fat foods that we often crave when we are stressed or depressed, well, as comforting as they may appear, they are the least likely to benefit our mental health. So the purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of existing scientific knowledge about how foods influence our mood. So we will determine whether these food-mood relationships are real or imagined. So food and mood have an impact on each other. Perhaps it's no coincidence that food and mood are only a letter apart. Actually, it's a delicate relationship. In fact, food's beneficial effect on mood has been studied since ancient times. However, the history of scientific research into the relationship between food intake and mood is relatively new. So to fully understand how foods can make us happy, we must first comprehend how brain regulates mood. So our brain has neurotransmitters that communicate with the rest of our bodies. So these neurotransmitters are made from amino acids, which often must be derived directly from the diet. So these chemicals influence the way we think, feel, and behave. They can be affected by what we've eaten. Neurotransmitters like serotonin exert a calming influence on our minds, and it is linked to happiness. So serotonin is the key hormone that stabilizes our mood, the feelings of well-being, happiness. And tryptophan is responsible for the production and release of this hormone. Well, researchers have discovered that low amounts of tryptophan can negatively affect our mood and memory, and it can provoke aggression. Also, low levels of vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids can affect mental health. So nutritional psychiatrists understand the power of diet in terms of managing mental illnesses. In addition, sugars have a huge impact on mood. So there are clinical studies that show that refined carbohydrates may have a causal effect on mood. Therefore, this showed that healthy eating affects not only our physical health, but also our mental health. In addition, an unhealthy diet high in trans fats raises the risk of depression. So trans fats will be discussed later by our next speaker. And also take note that healthy diet affects the chemistry of our brain. So this is not something like our mind convinces us that we are happy. So this is the science of happiness, and it has discovered why certain foods make us happy. Most importantly, healthy foods will not only promise to keep us well, but it will make us feel better too. Okay, so this time we will discuss happy foods and comfort foods. So, sometimes we feel guilty and disgusted with ourselves after eating. Sometimes naman we enjoy and savor our food and we feel full and happy. Now the question is, why would some foods make us happy and certain foods can have an opposite effect? So we will find out the answer as we differentiate happy foods from comfort foods. So our happy foods, it is a point for foods that are believed to produce positive neurotransmitters in the brain. So these contain compounds that can physically affect our brain chemistry. So happy foods produce not just physical happiness, but also affect our physiology. On the other hand, while some foods have been proven to contain compounds that impact our mood, others make us feel good just by eating them. So these foods are called comfort foods. When most people think of comfort food, they think of something sweet, creamy, cheesy, or anything rich. So comfort food makes us feel happy psychologically. Take note, it's psychologically, as opposed to physiologically. So these moods make us reminisce the past. So we all have that memories of happier times, and by eating comfort foods, we are reminded of those times, making us feel better, especially when we're sad. All right, so there is a certain study by Al-Amar on 2020 that shows the corresponsive relationship between food choices and mood status. So as you can see, food intake can play a role in mood regulation. So comfort foods with a high fat and carbohydrate content were preferred by depressed mood subjects, and it gives a short feeling of happiness. While vegetable and fruit consumption and depression mood have an inverse relationship. So this also agrees with other studies that tell that the foods that will make us the happiest are healthy foods, not traditional comfort foods. So we are about to discuss the 10 mood boosting foods, or we could also refer to them as happy foods. So these foods are recommended since they were relatively inexpensive and available at the market or most grocery stores. Food safety aspects of these foods will also be discussed because since these foods are healthy, it doesn't mean that they are automatically safe for consumption. So keep in mind that hazards in food, sometimes they are inevitable. So in here, we will talk about the important food safety hazards associated with happy foods because no one will be happy if they got food poisoned. Am I right or am I correct? Okay, so before we proceed to those mood boosting foods, let us first be informed of the nutrients that increase one's happiness. So remember that a healthy cognitive system is essential for regulation, and certain nutrients have a significant impact on brain function maintenance. So researchers have studied the association between foods and the brain and identified 10 nutrients that can combat depression and boost mood. So these are calcium, chromium, folate, iron, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, vitamin B, and zinc. So it is important to note that eating foods containing these nutrients could promote long-term happiness. First on the list on the mood-boosting foods are eggs. So eggs are rich in protein that improves thinking, mental performance, and helps the brain synthesize neurotransmitters. So they are the richest source of choline, which is an essential nutrient that manufactures a neurotransmitter needed for normal brain function. As for the eggs food safety risk, so the hazard of concern is salmonella. So live poultry can carry this bacteria which can contaminate the inside of eggs before the shells are formed. So salmonella is it is a type of bacteria that can be found in the intestines of birds and other animals, and it causes salmonellosis. It is a common form of foodborne illness in humans. So outcomes from exposure to Salmonella species can range from mild symptoms to severe disease and can be fatal, like typhoid fever. So to ensure food is safe to eat, special attention should be given to the preparation, storage, and handling of eggs to prevent the growth of Salmonella. Okay, so another example of happy foods are nuts. So hindi lang pala siya pampatalino, pampasaya din siya. So nuts provide tryptophan. So it is an amino acid responsible for producing mood-boosting serotonin. Almonds, cashews, and walnuts are excellent sources. So let's try to get about 1 ounce a day of these mixed nuts. For everybody's information, nut is an allergen that causes body to react badly while eating them. So it causes allergic reaction to a human who is sensitive to nuts. Nut allergy symptoms can range from bothersome to life-threatening. So from a mild runny nose to the life-threatening symptoms of anaphylaxis, which include throat swelling, shortness of breath, and shock. So avoiding foods and products comprising nuts is the best way to prevent reactions. So next on the list is fatty fish, and the best example is salmon. So some studies show that consuming omega-3 in the form of fish oil lower depression level, and it helps to have 3 ounces of this 2 to 3 times a week. But despite the nutritional benefits, it also has potential risks, like when fish taking in harmful chemicals from the water and the food they eat. So chemicals like mercury and polychlorinated biphenyls can build up in their bodies over time. And high levels of mercury and PCBs can harm the brain and nervous system. Moreover, toxins like scrombotoxin can be naturally occurring in some fish. Symptoms of scromboid poisoning are similar to allergic reactions and can be treated with antihistamines. So to prevent this contamination, we must chill the fish as soon as possible right after harvesting. So whole grains are also, they also belong to the list of happy foods. Choosing whole grains and high fiber foods over refined sugar and flour products is good for your body and brain. They help the body release serotonin. So our body needs carbohydrates to produce serotonin, but it is critical not only to our mental health, but for our physical well-being. So the best way to incorporate serotonin-producing foods into our diet without causing major spikes in blood sugar is through complex carbohydrates. So, saan ba sila manggagaling? Manggagaling siya sa mga whole grains and peas, beans, and vegetables. In one study, those who ate 1.5 to 6 grams of fiber at breakfast reported better mood and energy levels. So remember that whole grains usually contain more contaminants than refined products. So grains represent a significant source of foodborne contaminants. So the main ones being mycotoxins, including aflatoxin B1, so toxic metals like arsenic, cadmium, and lead, as well as process contaminants such as acrylamide. So mycotoxins, they are naturally occurring toxins produced by certain molds. The adverse health effects of mycotoxins range from acute poisoning to long-term effects such as immune deficiency and cancer. And aflatoxin in particular, they are carcinogenic and they cause acute hepatotoxic that affects the liver and can potentially result to death. So the toxin can also affect kidneys, intestine, blood, what else? Our reproductive system and the immune system. So additionally, heavy metals like arsenic, cadmium, and lead, they are usually toxic in low amounts, and therefore they are a potential health hazard. So once they become incorporated into the food, they cannot be removed. And of course, acrylamide. It is a chemical that naturally forms in starchy food products during high temperature cooking. So it has possible harmful effects on the nervous system. So another healthy food that makes us happy are fruits. So fruits like bananas. They are a great source of natural sugar, vitamin B6, and prebiotic fiber, which work together to keep blood sugar levels and mood stable. While berries are rich in antioxidants that help manage inflammation associated with depression and other mood disorders. So let's aim for 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit daily as per recommendation. But lots of raw fruits and berries have a high risk of causing food poisoning. So listeria in particular, it can grow on the skins of fruits and vegetables and can cause food poisoning if eaten. So this microbial hazard may be introduced from the primary production, from the water, the hygiene, facility sanitation, and even transportation and distribution. FYI, Listeria monocytogenes is a bacterium that causes listeriosis, and it is a disease that can have severe consequences for particular groups of the population. So it can cause miscarriages in pregnant women and be fatal in immunocompromised individuals and elderly. So mild to severe symptoms and potentially fatal form occur when the infection spreads through the bloodstream to the nervous system, including the brain. So resulting in meningitis and other potentially fatal problems. And of course, vegetables will never miss this list as they are super healthy. Dark leafy greens like spinach and kale, they are full of omega-3 fatty acids and are inflammation-fighting foods too. So greens are also rich in magnesium, which plays a major role in brain function and mood. It is recommended to get 2 to 3 cups of vegetables daily. And as for the food safety risk, pathogenic microorganisms such as E. coli, Salmonella, Listeria, they are commonly associated with raw and fresh vegetables. Leafy greens and vegetables are often eaten raw, therefore any harmful contaminants affecting them won't be killed in the cooking process. So, Escherichia coli, they are bacteria that form part of the normal gut flora of humans and other warm-blooded animals. So take note that E. coli, they can live in the soil that the greens are grown in, and they can easily leave traces on them. E. coli infection causes bloody diarrhea, followed by kidney failure. Also, Shiga toxin producing E. coli can cause severe illness to human. Infection with STEC is the main cause of hemolytic uremic syndrome, and it is a condition that affects the blood and blood vessels. So next on the list are fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, tempeh, and yogurt. So fermented foods are good sources of healthy bacteria called probiotics. Since up to 90% of body serotonin is produced in the gut, then a healthy gut may correspond to a good mood. Fermented foods are arguably among the safest food that you might. But if critical errors are made, so there is the risk of food safety hazards. Botulism, E. coli, and Salmonella are the main hazards for fermented foods. Clostridium botulinum, it is one of the most important pathogens associated with food. So botulism can form in oxygen-free conditions if the fermentation is not successful and acid levels are too low. Then E. coli and Salmonella contamination can be caused by improper handling and hygiene. Foodborne botulism is a very severe intoxication, historically caused by eating preserved low acid, low oxygen foods in which Clostridium botulinum had grown and produced botulinal neurotoxins or BONT. So it is the most potent biological neurotoxins known. Moving on, another delicious and happy food is oyster. So they are high in zinc. So it is a nutrient that helps ease anxiety. It also helps improve sleep quality. So oysters are also very high in essential nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, and the suggested serving is 6 to 12 oysters. Making oyster a high-risk food is the pathogen called norovirus. Norovirus is the main cause of viral gastroenteritis in humans worldwide. It is highly contagious due to its very low infectious dose, stability in the environment, and its resistance to many common disinfectants. So the major route of norovirus contamination in oysters is via human fecal contamination in growing or harvesting areas. Other hazards relevant to oysters are the heavy metals like cadmium and lead that may also accumulate in oysters harvested from contaminated waters. So prolonged excessive intake of cadmium and lead may have adverse effects on the kidneys and neurodevelopment respectively. All right, so one of our most favorite drinks didn't miss this list, and that is hot cocoa or hot cocoa. So everybody loves chocolates and cocoa, and it is known to contain a type of antioxidant called polyphenols, which are thought to boost mood. So it also contains, it also contains phenethylamine, which triggers the release of pleasurable endorphins. So the feelings is similar when you became infatuated or fall in love. But before indulging yourself to hot cocoa, please be reminded that Salmonella or E. coli may be present in your drink. So though cocoa is considered a dry or low water activity product, traces of these pathogens from the cocoa bean can sometimes survive thermal treatment. Perhaps there is also the presence of mycotoxins, particularly aflatoxin and ochratoxin A or OTA. So OTA is a potent nephrotoxin and causes both acute and chronic effects in the kidneys. So the last but not the least is the world's most favorite drink, which is coffee. Do you agree with me? So a cup of caffeinated coffee could boost your mood, both short and long term. So according to results reported in January 2016 in the journal Molecular Nutrition and Food Research, we will get the most protection against depression with about 2 cups or 400 milliliters of coffee per day. Well, just to remind everyone, caffeine is a stimulant. Therefore, it should not be used at the wrong times to interfere with your sleeping routine. Okay, so what else? While sipping your beloved coffee, you may think that there might be potential pathogens like Bacillus cereus, Clostridium botulinum, Listeria monocytogenes, E. coli, Salmonella, and Staph aureus. For your information, Bacillus cereus is a spore-forming bacterium that produces toxins that cause vomiting or diarrhea, and Staph aureus is a bacterium that causes staphylococcal food poisoning, and it is a form of gastroenteritis with rapid onset of symptoms. Okay, so in conclusion, it is better if we aim for whole foods that have been shown to improve not only our mood, but also our overall health if we want to be healthy and happy. Dietary changes can bring about changes in our brain structure, which can lead to altered behavior. So we should realize and understand the power of diet in terms of managing our mental and emotional health. Moreover, happy foods can also be comforting. A happy meal, which is healthy food choice, could also remind us of a memory that will comfort us and make us happy. Also, there is a lot you can do to improve your mental health and lift your mood. And it can be as simple as eating eating more plants, more healthy foods. So eating is a basic activity for human. And if we could be happy just by eating, then let's choose those happy foods. And lastly, understanding the risks associated with happy foods reduce the potential of a foodborne illness. Lagi pong tatandaan, food safety is very important regardless po of what kind of food pa yan. Kung happy food man yan or comfort food, just please ensure the safety of that food. So here's the list of my references and the continuation. All right, so that ends my presentation. I would like to thank my professors, Ma'am Lynn and Ma'am Debbie, for the guidance and support. Thanks also to my classmates for the inputs and moral support. And to all the viewers, thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. I hope eating helps you to have better moods despite this very challenging time. Again, I am Ana Marasigan. Thank you and happy eating.
Thank you so much, Miss Anna, for that very interesting presentation. The topic is very timely, so we can help uplift ourselves during this pandemic. How about you, Mads? What is your healthy, happy food?
I think it's chocolate.
That is really a must try. Now, let us proceed to our question and answer portion. For those who still have questions, you may key in your questions at the comment box, and Miss Anna will try to answer them all.
All right. Okay, Ma'am Anna, are you ready? Okay, we got one question from our participant. Okay, question number one. Why fresh fruits and vegetables, despite being healthy, are still risky to eat? Ma'am Anna?
So why fresh fruits and vegetables are still risky or parang there are still food safety hazards? Ano po?
Okay, I will repeat the question, Ma'am Anna. Okay, why fresh fruits and vegetables, despite being healthy, are still risky to eat?
Okay, thank you for that question, Sir Mads. So bakit siya risky? Risky siya in terms of merong possible presence of contaminants or hazards pa sa fresh fruits and vegetables. Bakit siya risky sa mga tao? It's because kasi tayo, nasanay tayo na kinakain natin yung fresh fruits and vegetable as raw. Like mga salad, ganyan. So, therefore, hindi siya nag-undergo ng any treatment para ma-eliminate yung mga hazards. The reason na pwede siyang mag-result sa foodborne illness. So, siguro, para maiwasan yan is mag-apply tayo kahit minimal processing para lang talaga ma-eliminate itong mga pathogens.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Anna. Okay, a reminder again, for those who still have questions, you may key in your questions at the comment box. Okay, okay, and another question, Ma'am Anna. Okay, what is the technical difference of cocoa and chocolate?
Alright, so na-mention ko nga kanina as happy food yung cocoa and chocolate. So simple lang yung difference nila. It is cocoa butter. So yun po yung difference. Di ba while processing chocolate, pinapress kasi yung cocoa para maalis yung cocoa butter. And then yung natitirang powder, yun na yung cocoa. So si chocolate naman, of course, meron na siyang cocoa butter and at the same time, meron na siyang mga ingredients na kahalo. So yun yung difference nila.
Okay, thank you, Miss Anna. Okay, I think that's enough. Okay, again, thank you, Miss Anna, and thank you to our participants who sent their questions via comment box. And I hope that Miss Anna answered your questions. If we were not able to answer your questions due to time limitations, you may still send them to our official email address at pwufoodtrends2021@gmail.com, and we will try to answer them all. Okay, please be advised, the evaluation form will be posted 20 minutes before the end of our session. Again, as a reminder, only registered participants will be eligible to receive an e-certificate upon completion of the evaluation form after this session.
Thank you so much, Sir Mads, for all those announcements. Let us now proceed to our poll question. Let us answer them. So, again, our question is, which of the following is considered as real happy food? So we have four choices then. We have pizza, letter A, donuts, letter B, and letter C, nuts, and then letter D is fries. So I'm very happy to announce our winners today, but the answer is letter C, nuts. So we will now be giving our giveaways to our two lucky winners of worth 100 pesos load. Our winners are Catherine May Gumabon and Frederick B. Castillo. I'm going to repeat. Our winners are Catherine May Gumabon and Frederick B. Castillo. To our winners, you will receive a call or an email from PWU Food Trends 2021 at gmail.com on how to receive or to claim your prize. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Ria. Before we proceed to the next speaker, let us give a chance again to our attendees to have 100 pesos worth of load. So let us go to the next poll question. Okay, again, kindly scan the QR code shown in your screen or click the link in the video description comment section for participants using Facebook and YouTube. Make sure that you enter correctly your email, name, and contact number. Okay, are you ready, participants? Okay, and the question is, what makes consumer choose healthy food? You have four choices to choose from. Letter A, delicious and nutritious. Letter B, accessible and affordable. And letter C, good quality and safe. And letter D, all of the above. Okay, so take a pick and you have a minute to key in your answers. Again, I will repeat the choices. Letter A, delicious and nutritious. Letter B, accessible and affordable. Letter C, good quality and safe. And letter D, all of the above. The question, what makes consumer choose healthy food? Okay, 30 seconds. Are you ready, participants? Okay? Okay, time's up. Thank you, dear participants, for answering the poll question. And to update the number of viewers who are now watching in our FB and YouTube page, as of this moment, we have 734 viewers from FB and 81 viewers from YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mads, for that energizer. Okay, let us go to our second speaker. So she earned her bachelor's degree in food technology from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Manila, and her previous professional experience includes quality assurance specialist in one of the prestigious meat processing company, Pampangas Best Incorporated, and was promoted to assistant supervisor in the packaging department. She was also a food safety management system manager at the DLA Naturals Incorporated. But right now, she is running her own business while pursuing her postgraduate education at the Philippine Women's University. So please do welcome Ms. Donna Leia V. Paras.
Good morning, Ms. Ria. Thank you for that warm introduction. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second part of the session entitled Future Focus Safe and Healthy Delicious Food. Before we begin, let me first ask you a question. Who wants to be healthy by changing their eating pattern? Do you know what are the healthy food choices for you? Join me and let's find out today. According to the Food Safety Act of 2013, food is any substance or product, whether it is processed, partially processed, or unprocessed, that is intended for human consumption. Food is also essential for human survival as it gives energy and nourishes our body. It is also considered one of the life's greatest pleasures because food affects our mood. Pag masarap ang ating kinakain, nakaka-happy siya, di ba? Kaya nga, it can be a key to a positive outlook and staying emotionally balanced. However, due to the increasing globalization, consumers opt to choose food that can keep up to their fast-paced lifestyle. That's where the production of processed foods shoot up and led to a shift in diet pattern. So, these are the foods that are high in calories, salt, fat, sugar, and products that are loaded with chemicals, which we call now as junk foods. Karaniwan na din nating naririnig or sinasabi na if you want to be healthy, you need to stay away from processed foods, di ba? Yan. According to Dr. Greger, a nutrition and food safety advocate, the food we choose make a difference. So definitely, the choice we make about what we eat and drink really matters. We are now interested in promoting a healthy diet that can benefit our immunity and mental state, di ba? So yun, according to the World Health Organization, a healthy diet helps protect against malnutrition, as well as to prevent non-communicable diseases, including obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and even cancer. That is why consumers are shifting to a healthier lifestyle due to the growing consciousness of food-related diseases and because na rin sa scientific linkage between the food intake and human health. So, naging global priority na rin siya. So, healthy eating is on the rise. Everybody talks about going natural, organic, plant-based, and I believe that this is a very strong trend that we should look deeper into. So, later this afternoon, we will discuss further about organic farming. So, please stay with us. Okay, next. Here we can see the three pillars of processed foods. The salt, the sugar, and the fat. Actually, the unhealthy fats like saturated fats. So, let me share with you the concept created by our Dean Emeritus, Dr. Ignacio Pablo, the 3S, or what he called as the tatlong satanas. Yun nga yung salt, sugar, and saturated fat. Because combining the right blend of these three ingredients make the food simply irresistible. The happiness we get from sugar, the mouthfeel from the fat, and the flavor burst from the salt. Together, they make us crave for more. You are wondering why you can stop eating cakes, ice creams, diba? Chips, cookies. Because they become addictive to us na. So, these are the foods that will poison us right before our eyes. So, they are also the key drivers or the culprit for non-communicable diseases. So, tama nga si Dr. Pablo, no? Tatlong satanas talaga siya. It's the other type of food poisoning na inaalaw natin sa ating sarili. So, but don't get me wrong, they are not poison by itself, but the large amount and constant consumption make it poisonous, di ba? That is why we need to be mindful of what we eat. We should be aware of what we put inside our bodies. Nakakatulong ba ito? Or nakakasama ba ito sa ating katawan? In fact, authorities play a vital role to control unhealthy foods like WHO. They recommend programs to reduce salt and sugar intake by 2025. And aside from that, we also have problems with trans fatty acid. According to WHO, this kind of fat is responsible for premature deaths from heart diseases globally. Ayun. So here in the Philippines, just this June lang, DOH issued an administrative order to guide Filipinos to reduce trans fatty acid to less than 1% of their recommended total energy intake. The order also prohibits industrially produced trans fat from being produced, imported, and distributed for commercial sale, and replace it with alternative healthy oils. Yan. So, FDA set a 2-year transitory period for food manufacturers. So, until 2023. So, if you are using these materials, you may want to visit your formulation as early as now. Okay. Okay, because of these food-related diseases, consumers demand the food industry to focus on developing healthier and more nutritious food. And the 5 common categories are the natural, ethical, enhanced, less of, and alternative diets. But in able to meet these demands, we must first need to understand how consumers think and feel about the food they eat. We need to explore and check the trends that influence the consumers, like yung beliefs, the demographics, matatanda na lang ba ang naghahanap ng healthy food or pati kabataan? Or saan ba ang ating target market? Sa cities na lang ba? Sa province ba? Sa suburban areas ba? So, something like that. Then, also the buying decision and the value for money. Okay? And with that, gives pressure on the manufacturers to adapt to these current trends. So let's see what are the barriers and challenges preventing the shift toward healthier diet, and how the food industry can drive the transformational change. Okay, next. The first two works together, the availability and the accessibility. Healthy food is often inaccessible and unavailable. True. According to a survey, consumer would eat more healthier food options if it were more convenient and readily available. So, this will open opportunities too for food-to-go products, no? Actually, last month ata, I saw the Department of Agriculture's vending machine project that will feature goods from Carabao's milk. So, it is one way to address the accessibility and availability concerns, because they are bringing the healthy food products within the reach of the consumers. Okay, next. The next is affordability. Consumers will buy healthy food if it's affordable. Yes, price is the biggest barrier stopping consumers from eating healthier diets. There are healthy food options, but most of the time they are expensive, diba? So according to a study in 2017, the average cost of a diverse, healthy diet in the Philippines was around 200 pesos a day, no? And it shows that about 67 Filipinos cannot afford a healthy diet due to a limited financial income. So you see, when healthy foods are unaffordable, people can't avoid malnutrition and diet-related diseases. So they are connected. But on the other hand, some consumers din naman are willing to pay a higher price or would pay more sa healthier food that can deliver on its claims. Okay. Then next is the quality. Consumer wants products that are tasty and healthy at the same time, because healthier food does not taste good now. So formulation presents another problem. Production of healthy food should never compromise the taste, freshness, and overall sensory quality of the product. Especially for us working in the industry, we need to find the right mix of nutrition and quality in our future formulations, diba? Yan. Next, of course, on top of everything is food safety. Ano nga ba yung food safety? Food safety is the assurance that food will not cause harm when it is prepared or eaten according to its intended use. It should be fit for human consumption. It will not cause adverse health effects. So with that being said, food supply must be safe from being contaminated from farm to fork in all stages of the supply chain. So what are these contamination risks? It could be microbial from harmful bacteria. It could be from toxin contamination like squamatoxin from fish, or also known as histamine poisoning, or aflatoxin from nuts. Yan. or chemical contamination. When we say chemicals, it could be from antibiotics, pesticides, misuse of additives, or cleaning chemicals. Now, when they exceed the allowable limit, they can cause adverse health effects. Then, the labeling and untruthful claims can also pose risk to consumers, like undeclared allergen. As we all know, ingesting even a small amount of allergen can cause reaction to sensitive population, or worse, it can cause death. So that is why proper and truthful labeling of food is also an imperative part of food safety. And lastly is food fraud. Yes, kasama ang food fraud. It is also a big concern. This trend also gave ample opportunity for food criminals to commit food adulteration by using inferior or unsafe ingredients or process, and as well as consciously misbranding or tampering the food labels for their undue gain. So as consumers, we should also be vigilant about that. Huwag yung bili lang ng bili. So let's have an example. We have here 3 glasses of raw milk. Let's say it's natural, straight from the cow. My question is, which glass has pathogens? You can key in your answer in the chat box below. Let's see, okay? All right. Yan, let's see. If you don't know the answer, you are correct. By merely looking at the milk, we wouldn't know, right? We wouldn't know which is which. So according to USFDA, raw milk that has not been pasteurized can carry dangerous pathogenic bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter that can cause foodborne illness. And how about this one? Stirred chicken and fresh salad. Enticing, di ba? Ang sarap tignan, nakakagutom. But did you know that raw chicken is often contaminated with bacteria that can only be destroyed by proper cooking temperature? And also in US, 12 salmonella outbreaks have been linked with fresh tomatoes, while 51 outbreaks were linked to leafy greens. So you see, natural and nutritious foods are also dangerous foods. Aside from they are perishables that spoil very quickly, they may not also always be safe to consume due to waterborne diseases or unhygienic handling. According to WHO, globally, about 1 in 10 people in the world fall ill and over 420,000 people die annually after eating contaminated food. No, because foodborne diseases are caused by contamination of food at any stage of the food chain. It could be from the irrigation, the soil, production, delivery, storage, or sa consumption facility sa mga restaurants, di ba? So, foodborne disease continues to be a global burden for public health concern. But the good thing here is, it is preventable by practicing food hygiene and food safety. So yan. This is why only safe food is considered healthy food. Tama naman, in order for food to help maintain or improve our health, it has to be safe to eat. Kahit gaano ka-nutritious o kasarap ang food, kung hindi naman siya safe to eat, magiging healthy ba tayo? Hindi, di ba? So, it is necessary for all foods, no matter how they were grown or raised, to be assessed and pass the quality and safety control standards set by the authorities. Now, what should we choose? Natural or processed foods? Will it be as simple as going back to basic, less chemicals, unprocessed, or can we back it up with science? Because remember, no, the term natural doesn't mean it's safe. Unprocessed food is not equal to food safety, nor guarantees food safety. No? Most food needs some degree of processing to ensure safety and extends its shelf life. And not all processed foods are bad for the body. So yun, it is a challenge for us to find a solution. We can learn from our past and utilize the technology to deliver and enhance healthy food. Okay. Kanina, we already talked about mindful eating. Now, let's discuss further food safety, healthification of food, and innovation. So, yan. Food safety is a shared responsibility. Ibig sabihin, to be effective, the system must be based on dynamic interdependence among government, private industry, and consumers. So, you can see in this figure, it depicts that the interrelationship with the unified mission of improving food safety, public health, and able to meet future challenges, while academe, media, and other focus organizations are the supportive players who are also critical to the integration of research, education, and information. So everyone has a role to play. We need to act as one, and we should be eyeing for the same goal. The Philippines has a good policy foundation on food safety with the Food Safety Act of 2013, headed by the Department of Agriculture, who is responsible for the fresh food or food from primary production and post-harvest stages. And the Department of Health through FDA is responsible for the safety of processed and prepackaged food, including packaging activities. Also, CDOH are in control of the monitoring, surveillance, and awareness, and also studies pala, no, on foodborne illnesses. Then, sina DILG and LGU, they supervise the enforcement of food safety in the food businesses within their jurisdiction, such as the slaughterhouses, dressing plants, fish ports, markets, canteens, street food sale, yung mga ambulant vendors, and even yung mga restaurants and food service establishments. So this is the role of our government to ensure food safety and promote public health in the Philippines. Ganda, no? Yan. Next, yan, since food is often the problem, it is also a solution. That's when the topic of the healthification of food comes in. It is no longer just removing the bad ones, but also adding the good ones through fortification and addition of functional foods. Diba? Kasi when food undergoes processing, some of the micronutrients are lost during their transformation. And to replenish that losses, nutrient fortification has become an important aspect in food processing. We have here the Sangkap Pinoy Seal of Acceptance from DOH, the salt iodization diamond seal, and the mandatory fortification of staple foods. And to encourage other food manufacturers, we are also using voluntary fortification seal. Yan. Healthification of food is continuously evolving, and the exciting part is that there are so many foods that have diverse positive effects on our health. So stay tuned and join us this afternoon as we will discuss further about functional foods. Next is the effective implementation of food safety programs. So food manufacturers are equipping their organizations with food safety programs that are integral part of the food safety system, because food is our top priority. That should be our motto lagi, Food safety is our top priority, because hazard can occur at any stage of the food chain. Therefore, understanding the risk and adequate control throughout the food chain is essential. So we have internationally recognized programs to harmonize food safety standards across the supply chain, like Codex Alimentarius, ISO 22000-2018. Some are using BRC, or the British Retail Consortium. We are also using FSSC, so whichever is required or suited to your organization, that's okay, as long as you comply to the requirements. Then, the systematic preventive approach of hazard analysis critical control point. The prerequisite programs, like here in the Philippines, we're using AO153 for good manufacturing practices. We have GAP, then hygienic practices, and many more. And of course, let's not forget that traceability, documentation, and record keeping are also significant parts of the food safety. So without this, we will be lost. So remember our golden rule, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Kahit ipilit natin na nag-comply tayo, if hindi naman siya properly documented, hindi siya traceable, wala rin. Okay? Yan. So last in our list, let me share with you some current food innovations that offers a mechanism that has no impact on nutritional and quality aspects of food, as well as prolonging the shelf life and ensures that food is safe. Okay, I will not discuss each because of the time limit, but you can take a photo for your reference. We have irradiation, freeze drying, steam pasteurization, and ozone disinfection. We also have pulse type sterilization using a non-thermal strong spectrum pulses to kill microorganisms. We also have vacuum frying, a healthier method of deep frying at lower pressure and temperature. So by using that, we can reduce fat absorption by as much as 42%. So fry with less fat. Okay. Yes, plant-based protein is still on the hype. It is easier to grow and less damaging to the environment. But insect-based protein industry is also booming. Studies found out that insects are viable protein source for human consumption, and it could be the solution for the burden of food insecurity. Kasi compared daw sa plant-based, we don't need land to multiply the insects. So, yeah, these kinds of food contain nutrients that our body and brain can also use to help us feel at our best. Yeah. Lastly, imagine a 3D printed healthy food. A food futurist is researching about a digitally fabricated healthy and sustainable food or a future food. So the concept of this is to print living organism in an edible base as a growth medium inside a sterile package. Then mushrooms or flavorful plant foods will eventually grow naturally according to the consumer's desired flavor intensity. Grabe, no? Nakaka-amaze and at the same time, nakaka-excite. So, this kind of convergence of technology with gastronomy can open up new avenues of culinary expression and appreciation. So, we will hear more about culinary and gastronomy with our next speaker. See, innovation is the future of safe and healthy food. So with that, the food industry actors need to be proactive and think about the future. Be ready to adapt to the changes in regulations, technology, and customer demands, and overcome the challenges heads-on by turning barriers into opportunities and leverage food safety and technology breakthroughs. So some of the strategies in different fields or food disciplines are the government policies, interventions, and the promotion of healthy food setting, the addition of new production lines, operation and equipment improvement, cleaning and sanitation equipment upgrade, strengthening of food safety system, the HACCP plans, the documentation, and then investing on trainings and education for both management and food handlers. And also consumer awareness and empowerment through social marketing. And we are amid technological advances where innovative food solutions are emerging. And the future is indeed promising. Yeah. Okay, for the key takeaways, ensuring safe and healthy delicious food is the responsibility shared by all players in the food system. Everyone has a role to play to prevent foodborne diseases. Healthy food should be safe from any kind of contamination and adulteration in order to help improve or maintain public health and well-being. Last but not the least, food innovation and food safety towards healthy food options are continuously evolving. So we are in control, the choice is ours, so let's be mindful and focus on a healthier and safer food. Let's find balance in eating, be healthy, happy, and age gracefully because healthy eating is a trend that we don't see going away anytime soon. It is here to stay. And as Neil Armstrong said, it's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Let us all be future focused food safety advocates to a healthier tomorrow. And that concludes my presentation. Here are my references. And I would like to acknowledge Ms. Van and Ms. Nika for their valuable inputs. CIT class for all the hard work to make this webinar series a success. To our Dean Braganza, and professors, Professor Lynn and Prof. Debbie for their guidance and utmost support. Again, I am Donna Leia Valeria Paras, and thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Donna, for sharing your knowledge to us. Now we have come to our question and answer portion. For those who still have questions, you may key them at the comment box, and Ms. Donna will try to answer them all.
Yes, I agree with you, Ma'am Donna. Food safety is everybody's responsibility. So let us move forward in our lives and let us live healthier. So, all right, let us go to our first question. Ma'am Donna, are you ready?
Yes po.
Okay, so Ma'am Donna, our first question came from Sir Dre Yap. So the question is, I usually buy fresh products from the market without any labels or history where it came from. How can I be sure that it is safe to eat? I'm going to repeat, ma'am, just like Miss Universe. I usually buy fresh products from the market without any labels or history where it came from. How can I be sure that it is safe to eat?
Thank you for that question, Ma'am Ria. And that's a good question, no? As discussed po earlier, food safety is a shared responsibility. And as consumer, we should be vigilant on what we purchase. So first thing we can do is use our senses. Maputla na ba yung karne? Lanta na ba yung vegetables? Does it have foul smell? So thorough inspection, yung first defense natin while in the market. And at home naman, we should practice yung 5 keys to safer food. Ito yung keep the food. First is keep the food and preparation area clean. Wash the food thoroughly. Second is separate the raw and cooked products. And also separate yung utensils for different food types. Third, cook the food properly. Then keep them at safe temperatures. Don't let it stay at room temperature for so long or longer hours. Then, of course, use safe water and raw materials all the time. That's all po, Ma'am Ria. I hope na-answer ko po.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Donna. I have again here another question. So it's coming from Gabriel Angelitud. So since there is a new administrative order, this is very timely, Ma'am Donna. So since there is a new administrative order for the elimination of industrially produced trans fatty acid, when is the best that you recommend to transition the non-partially hydrogenated fat or oil? Again, I'm going to repeat. Since there is an administrative order for the elimination of industrially produced trans fatty acid, when is the best that you recommend to transition to partially hydrogenated oil or fat?
Okay po. Yes. I believe there is no best time to start the transition to non-partially hydrogenated oil, but as early as now. So, kasi di ba we should be proactive in addressing the burden of non-communicable diseases. So, don't wait until 2023. to reformulate your products or to change your lifestyle. Remember that yung sabi nga natin sa discussion kanina, partially hydrogenated oils, even if it's cheap and stable, it has no nutritional value. It has no benefit. So it will just cause harm to our bodies. So it's better safe than sorry. Kaya let's start as early as now na po. So that's it po.
Thank you, Ma'am Donna. And thank you for our participants who sent their questions via comment box. And I hope that Ms. Donna answered your questions. If we were not able to answer your question due to time limitations, you may still send them to our official email address at pwufoodtrends2021@gmail.com, and we will try to answer them all.
Okay, thank you, partner. Let us now answer our poll question number 2. The question is, what makes consumer choose healthy food? The 4 choices are letter A, delicious and nutritious, letter B, accessible and affordable, letter C, food good quality and safe, and letter D is all of the above. And the answer is letter D, all of the above. We have selected our winners from those who have correctly answered the poll question before the talk of Miss Donna a while ago. And our 2 lucky winners with 100 pesos worth of load are Miss Alessandra Bual and Mr. Dan Michael Quaresma. Okay, I'll repeat. Ma'am Alessandra Bual and Sir Dan Michael Quaresma. To those lucky winners will receive a call or an email from pwufoodtrends2021@gmail.com on how to receive or to claim your prizes.
Okay, congratulations to all our winners. Let us now move on to our next poll question. So again, kindly scan the QR code shown on your screen or click the link in the video description or comment section for participants using Facebook and YouTube. So do not forget to enter your email, your name, and your contact number and answer the question provided. So again, there will be 2 lucky winners from those who will get the right answer and will receive 100 pesos worth of load. Okay, and the question is, what are the elements of taste? So we have 3 choices. Letter A, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Letter B, appearance, aroma, texture, sound, flavor. And letter C, palatability, sensation, and digestion. So take a pick and you have a minute to key in your answers. Okay? I'm going to repeat the choices. Letter A, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Letter B, appearance, aroma, texture, sound, flavor. And letter C, palatability, sensation, and digestion. So we have 30 seconds more to go. Okay, 15 seconds more to go. Okay, time is up. Thank you, dear participants, for answering the poll question. Sir Mad?
Thank you, Ma'am Ria. Let me introduce you to our third speaker. He earned his bachelor's degree in food technology from Polytechnic University of the Philippines and pursue his postgraduate studies in frozen desert at the National University of Singapore. Wow, Singapore, Sir Jao. Currently, he is connected with Universal Robina Corporation as a sensory scientist. He is also one of the board of director of the Philippine Association of Food Technologists Incorporated. His previous professional experience includes R&D manager for Potato Corner and Ice Cream House, sensory specialist for Century Pacific Food Inc., R&D staff for Bounty Fresh Foods Inc. Please welcome Mr. Joshua Jericho T. Del Rosario, but he rather wants to be called Jao Del Rosario.
Thank you, Mas. I appreciate your introduction. So it's great to be speaking with you all today. Yeah. So sharing with you about molecular gastronomy and its role in sensory evaluation and changing taste and measuring aromas. Right. For the next 20 minutes, I'll take you to the sensation of full stomach. Wonder why do we stop eating? Yes. And can we taste sound? Yeah, it's all about sensory architecture. So sharing with you about some studies in relation to the sensory qualities of traditional and molecular dishes. And some of you are familiar with the instruments, yes, used to measure objectively, and I will add how quantifying desires affect consumer perception. Lastly, what is the impact of changing taste and measuring aromas on the food industry? Eat what makes you happy. For me, I eat banana because it's a food that aids serotonin. That make me happy, bring me energy. And can you please share with me within the chat box what food makes you happy? So I know you've learned something, learning stuff from our first and second speaker. Yes, it's great. Why do we stop eating? Perhaps we are satisfied or we feel that our stomach is full. Yes. There are three factors, yes, in sensation of full stomach. So number one, the sensorial experience of eating. The multisensory experience, a combination of a sweet, salty, spicy, and chocolate. The indulging experiences of eating. So that makes you feel good, the interaction of our senses while eating, and how can we evoke our senses. And the metabolism of food focus on the cephalic or digestive stage of eating. Lastly, the series of reflexes. Our senses have different receptors, which are responsible in sending signals to our brain for processing that will provide responses. And then there are two ways to describe foods. Number one, describing food objectively, the element of taste. Taste can be described in sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami, and it's different from the sensory attributes. The appearance, the color, the aroma, taste, texture, flavor, sounds. And number two, do we describe food subjectively, or the palatability, the way food is perceived and inherently present to the food and to the influence of the consumers. For us consumers, we experience full of hedonic pleasure, the oral food processing, sensory discrimination, and eating habits when we deliver the right meal characteristics. So there are such a meal pairing, the right option, the right profile, and then the individual openness, which contributes to the hedonic pleasure. Then umami is the ingestion of MSG plus perceived signal to begin absorbing of protein. Remember, protein is the food for the umami. It's the best combination of the free glutamate and free nucleotides, or that leads to the maximal umami sensation, the umami synergy. So umami is a basic taste that was not immediately accepted and took almost 100 years. Yes, tagal na. So the molecular mechanisms behind the umami synergy have been worked out in the case of the most prominent umami receptors. So there are T1 receptor 1 plus T1 receptor 3, which so-called the G protein. So the power of umami synergy becomes apparent from the graph, which demonstrate the two combination glutamate then inosinate to the receptors of free-glutaminate and inosinate. So pairing ingredients providing umami synergy. So the selection of raw materials, the raw ingredients, and processed food that contain umami taste. So ranging from a very small quantity on the left to the abundance on the right. So the products on the top, on the upper, so there are milk, apple, carrots, eggs. So those have the basal umami from the glutamate, from the MSG. So while those on the bottom, so the celery, the crab, the tomatoes, so they have the synergistic umami. So there are from the nucleotides, the inosinate, the IMP, the GMP, or the guanylate, and the anilate, or the AMP. So the horizontal axes are not linear, yes. And the position of the given product on the axis does not correspond to the absolute content of the umami synergy or the substances. So how texture makes flavor? So mouthfeel refers to the sensory inputs, the so-called somatosensory system. So we have three classification, the hand feel, the mouth feel, or the chematicis, or the trigeminal sensation, or the feeling factor during eating. So texture food found not only in the mouth, but everywhere in the body. So the sensation is the brain's interpretation of the complex multimodal integration. So here are some of the example of the interplaying between the mouth feel and the other sensory perception. So for the taste and touch, taste can affect the way the texture of the food is perceived. Sweetness enhances it, sourness lessens it, and the bitter has no effect on it. So about taste, touch and taste, the texture raises the taste threshold, yes, and decreases the intensity of sour, sweet, salty, and bitter taste. For example, the oil. The oil limits the access of the taste. Yes. Then number three, temperature to taste. Some of the experiments have shown that changing the temperature over a small area of the tongue can evoke different taste sensations. For example, warming spot of the tongue that has been cooled bring out the more sweet profile, or the cool melting, the melt in your mouth experience. And how about the taste to irritation? Sweetness can reduce the burning sensation produced by the piperine, the capsaicin, or the chili peppers, whereas sourness, the citric acid, and water have no minimal effect or minor effect only. So irritation to taste, irritation can reduce the taste, the intensity of sweet, bitter, and umami taste, whereas sour and salty have no effect on it. How about the smell to touch? So amoy daw to the texture. So smell can influence the experiences of the textural impression. So pag naamoy mo yung amoy ng creaminess, nakakabuo ka ng body. For example, creamy mouthfeel, mouthfeel body, consistency. So the melting qualities of the food can affect the texture. So about touch to smell. So actual release of odor substances, yes, from the food is controlled. So that is not dependent on the viscosity or the texture. How about smell to temperature? So the retronasal aroma or the retronasal occur during eating. So habang ninunguya mo, that's why flavor is a combination of taste and odor or the aroma. While the orthonasal occurs during smelling, sniffing, or dumadaan sa ating ilong. So the retronasal aroma given off the Benny spices so can be associated with the warmth or the heat sensation to our body. How about the temperature to smell? The intensity of odors increases with the temperature. Yes. And the smell to irritation, smell suppresses the feeling of irritation. That's why there are some odor can be added to the spicy food to inhibit or to lessen the irritation factors. To irritation to smell, irritation, for example, induce the capsaicin, depresses the intensity of smell such as those oranges, the vanilla, the smoothness of the creamy note. There are also indications that astringency or the dryness in the mouth or in the nose contributes to the senses of the smell. Last, to the touch and temperature, experiments have shown that applying vibration to the lips raises the threshold for experiencing the warmth or that depresses sensitivity to the temperature. Fourth, temperature to touch. It is likely that influence of temperature and the mouthfeel is predominantly a physical and chemical effect. So third to the last, touch to astringency. Astringency is the drying to the mouth or drying factor in sensation. So cooking oil reduces the feeling of the astringency. So the reason for this effect is the probability that the friction that accompanies astringency is reduced by the lubricant. So second to the last is the touch, the temperature to the irritation. So heat increases the irritation and the pain. Yes. So lastly, irritation to temperature. Irritation due to capsaicin is experienced as heat and subsequently suppresses the feeling of cold. So can we taste sound? Comment down to the chat box. So sensory architecture is a new thing in the molecular gastronomy. So the focuses on the how can we perceive the taste and flavor through sounds. So here are some key considerations in tasting food through sounds. Number one, the sensory modalities or the attributes. The appearance could affect the food. These are the texture, the syllable property of the food, yes. The taste, the flavor, the aroma, and the sound could affect also. The taste perception and the enjoyment of eating what we can perceive on the food when we eat. And when we accompanied with music and how it will drive our enjoyment. So lastly, the environment. Yes. So how can we bring up forth, how can we evoke our senses during eating when we are in a controlled environment? So here's an example of a practice in the singleton sensorium. It's a cross-model research and then immersive design, meaning the consumer or the customer could experience eating a food on a controlled environment with playing music so they can enjoy the food and they can now perceive the food through sounds. So here are some QR codes. You may scan the codes for you to experience the sound. So we have the make it sweeter, make your drink more taste woody, or if you want to drink wines or coffee, then all about the singleton sensorium, the third QR code. So the last QR code shows sounds of basic taste. So experiencing how can you boosted your sweetness, salty, sour, bitter, and umami through sounds. So here are the intrinsic and extrinsic factors when eating using sounds. So intrinsic sounds when we masticate the food. So habang natin siyang ginunguya. So the extrinsic naman, sound tends to produce greater levels of emotional arousal. So yung mga crunchy, crispy, crackly, yung ating naririnig through eating. Yes. So here's this cross-modal correspondence between taste and sound have been used to modify. So the experience of many different food and drinks products by changing the music or the soundscape of the people listening to it. So the example of the sonic sound. So sonic seasonings can be boosted by the use of the specially designed sensory apps. So technology plus sensory plus perception can drive you to perceive the food through sounds. So the sonic ingredients refers to the altering people's taste perception or taste experiences by the use of sound. So for an instance, a device built by the Japanese called the chewing jockey can detect when a user's jaws, yes, move while eating and play back a pre-recorded around in symphony. First example, sensory attributes could affect the powerful of the sensory experiences and also the modalities. So for the color, you can add edible glitters to the ice cream so that there will be an interactive experience with the children. So the children will add glitters on the ice cream, on the fries. For the texture consistency, they use different starches, dry ice, the fried texture. And then for the sounds, we have the chocolate stones, crackly crystals. So for the flavor and other aroma, I experienced one buying beer, French fries. So the goodness of it, you can experience the fizzling sensation of the biting experience of beer through eating a fries. So for the taste, you can add alcohol, polyols. So here are the examples of the modalities, the ingredients. So here's an example of the study discussing the sensory qualities of the molecular dishes. So they applied sensory testing or the QDA or descriptive study and plus consumer study. So they are merging two different principles of sensory and consumer. So it is applied to the molecular techniques or the spherification, gelification, and foaming. So they explore consumers' attitude toward the molecular cuisine, specifically the sensory evaluation of these dishes. The spherification is a technique creating liquid fluid spheres. How about gelification? Process of turning a liquid into gel using the gelatin. So foaming is a process of transforming liquids into light foams using culinary siphon. So the general population would like to try molecular dishes to experience the multi-sensory and try new ways of eating and enjoyment. So here are some of the quantifying desires or the instrumentation or the equipment specialized for food testing and the machines to replace human to mimic the particular aspects of our sensory system. So remember, this is still human is the best subject when doing sensory evaluation. but the objective testing could also help determining the numerical value or the quantifying value of the human desires. For example, the computer vision. So the appearance of foods can be characterized through the computers. The electrical noses, it captures the chemically presence of the aroma volatile compounds present to the food. How about the mechanical mouth? To simulate the complex processes of occurring when we eat the food. Fourth, the microphone ears. So there's a study in 1995 that they capture the sounds through bone conduction to their forehead, then down to the mic, to produce sounds of crackly, crispy, and crunchy. So the machine touch focuses only on the mechanical sensors in our fingers, allow us to produce the textural quality of food. Lastly, the artificial brain. Remember, any quantifying desires should be accompanied with a computer to process the results real time. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. So I'd like to summarize by saying sensory science plays an important role in the molecular gastronomy by recognizing the physiological basis of sensory and how can the sensorial experiences of eating influences could affect. So I sincerely appreciate that I've been the opportunity to talk with you all, and thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much, Sir Zhao, for that very interesting presentation. If there is a sound of music, there is already a sound of taste. So that is really a sure hit. How I wish there will be an application on our phone so we can send the taste of sweetness to everyone.
Yes.
Right, sir? Now we have come to our question and answer portion. So again, for questions that will not be accommodated due to our limited time, you can still type your question to our comment box. But just to give you a heads up, we still have a lot of time. So let's give the first question to Sir Zhao so that we can accommodate more questions. Sir Mads?
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Ria. All right. Are you ready, Sir Zhao, for the question and answer portion?
Ready?
Okay. Okay, Sir Zhao, our first question. Texture is a multi-parameter attributes where it can be detected in different senses. It can also be categorized as mouthfeel, handfeel, and trigeminal. How texture makes flavor in food? Again, I'm going to repeat the question, Sir Zhao. Texture is a multi-parameter attributes where it can be detected in different senses. It can also be categorized as mouthfeel, handfeel, and trigeminal. How texture makes flavor in food. Okay, Sir Joe?
Thank you, man. So I believe that we employ our senses when we eat food. And then through mouthfeel is an important factor to the overall sensory experiences. So through mouthfeel, we can recreate the physical feelings, or we can evoke or we can recall moments of foods when we love eating and we love with other ingredients. So how can we learn to latch onto the smaller food options? So the mastering texture also leads to more adventurous. So mas masaya ka pa with the gastronomic experiences of eating it.
Okay, thank you, Sir Joe, for the answer. Nice. Okay, we have here another question, Sir Joe. Are you ready again? Okay. Question number 2. What is the difference between orthonasal and retronasal olfaction? Okay, I'll repeat the
Okay.
question, Sir Joe. What is the difference between orthonasal and retronasal olfaction?
Okay, thanks, Mads. So I said a while ago, the orthonasal is occurs during sniffing or habang inaamoy mo yung sample or to our nose, while the retronasal occurs during eating, during mastication. So habang inunguya mo yung pagkain, na-perceive mo ngayon yung amoy ng pagkain. That's why flavor is a combination of taste and then aroma. Thanks, Mads.
Okay, thank you, Sir Joe. Okay, I think that's enough for the Q&A session. Thank you, Sir Joe, and thank you to our
Thank you.
participants who sent their questions via comment box. And I hope that Mr. Joe answered your questions. Okay, if we weren't able to answer your questions, you may still send them to our official email address at pwufoodtrends2021@gmail.com, and we will try to answer them all.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Mads. And let's continue Let us continue delivering the happiness by announcing our winners. But of course, let us answer our poll question number 3. So, the question was, what are the elements of taste? So we have letter A, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami. Letter B, appearance, aroma, texture, sound, and flavor. And letter C, palatability, sensation, and digestion. So the answer is letter A, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, and umami. Okay, did you get that? So we wanted to congratulate our 2 winners. We have Mom Stephanie Lemindog and Miss Pamela Rose Besa. Congratulations. So again, I'm going to repeat, Stephanie Lemindog and Pamela Rose Besa. So our winners will receive a call or an email from PWU Food Trends 2021 at gmail.com on how to receive or to claim your prizes.
Okay, partners, since we have still more minutes, okay, let's continue and then let's proceed to our question and answers. We have more questions coming from our FB. Okay, I will read the question for Miss Anna. Okay, for Miss Anna, it is from James Seldwin Alvarez. If someone changes his diet into keto diet, will it affect his emotional health? Miss Anna, okay, I'll repeat the question. If someone changes his diet into keto diet, will it affect his emotional health?
Okay, thank you for that question. So again, so keto diet, if I'm not mistaken, it is a high fat and high protein diet. Am I correct? So will it affect your emotional state or your mood? So well, I've read some studies and it says that keto diet has positive impact on mood. So perhaps it's because keto diet involves healthy fats and our brain needs fats. So it is critical to our brain's ability to functions as well as our moods. Pero kung ang diet mo is more on processed foods and trans fats, most probably it will affect your emotional condition in a negative way. So just try to avoid trans fat for a healthier and happier life. And kung effective naman sa'yo yung yung keto diet, and then continue lang. Ano po? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Anna. I think I have another question here. So there's a lot of questions popping up. So I have one for Ma'am Donna. So the question is, Ma'am Donna, are you ready? It's coming from Miss Ira Aguas. And the question is, as you said earlier, the 3 pillars of processed foods are salt, sugar, and fat. And they cause premature deaths and non-communicable diseases. So do you think it's about time to stop using those ingredients? I'm going to repeat. As you said earlier that the 3 pillars of processed foods are salt, sugar, and fat, and they cause premature deaths and non-communicable diseases. Do you think it's about time to stop using those ingredients, Ma'am Donna? Do we still have...
Thank you for that question, Miss Ria. Yes, po. For me, my personal answer is no. If you remove salt, sugar, and fat completely to our food, we will lose the flavor. Yung experience ng pagkain natin is mawawala. But remember, we are promoting here mindful eating. So too much is bad for our health. And everything should be in moderation. But if you can further reduce your intake ng salt, sugar, and fat, much better yon. Kung yun yung mas gusto mo sa diet mo, much better. And it's also best na to consult your doctor regularly to get to know yourself and establish and practice a healthy diet according to your body's need. So, yun po, that's all po, Ma'am Ria.
Sir Matt, do you
Okay,
have more questions?
Okay, thank you, partner. We have here from Gilbert Villafranca. You mentioned that fresh produce are very susceptible to contaminants.
Yeah.
How do we prevent and control those microbial hazards on fresh fruit and vegetables? Thank you. Miss Donna? Okay, I think the speaker is experiencing internet connectivity problem.
Ads?
Ma'am Ana?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, can I answer the
Yes, Ma'am Ana,
question
I'll repeat the
instead?
question.
So yes, please.
Okay, you mentioned
Okay.
that fresh produce are very susceptible to contaminants. How do
Yes,
we prevent and control those microbial hazards on fresh fruit and vegetables?
All right, so microbial hazards sa fresh fruits and vegetables. So again, it starts lagi naman sa source or the primary production. So meaning to say, lahat po ng handlers or person involved sa primary production dapat knowledgeable sa food safety and nagpa-practice sila ng GHP and GHP. Kasama na din po dyan yung sanitation ng farm. Dapat walang mga stray animals na pwede mag-contaminate sa mga tanim. And yung water na ginagamit for irrigation, ensure din po na safe po siya kasi baka sa water magmula yung contamination. What else? Yung storage and equipment, kailangan laging clean and dry. Next naman is yung transportation and distribution. Ensure lang po ang sanitation ng vehicle na gagamitin. And yung condition po niya kasi baka yun po yung mag-cause ng early decomposition ng plant. So therefore, hindi na siya fresh pagdating sa consumers. So once naman na nasa bahay na po natin yung mga fresh produce, then it's up to us na kung paano po natin sila i-handle at i-prepare. Need lang natin talaga maging malinis sa kitchen and avoid cross-contamination and process your food properly, then you're good to go.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am Anna. So, just like what Ma'am Donna mentioned a while ago, food safety is actually everybody's responsibility. So that's really true. So we really need to think of all of the ways so that we can deliver our food safely to our consumers. So, any more questions? Do we have? Did you type in your question to our chat box so that our colleague can provide those questions?
Okay, partner, we have here another one for Miss Donna. Miss Donna, are you there na?
Yes po, sorry for that. I was disconnected for a while.
Okay, Miss Donna, how do we know how healthy the cakes we are buying are less fats and sugar? I'll repeat, how do we know how healthy the cakes we are buying are less fats and sugar?
Yes, of course po. Ang dapat natin gawin, pag magbabay tayo, sabi ko nga, let's be vigilant as consumer, no? We should buy kung saan yung trusted brand natin. Then, aside from that, we should learn how to read labels and learn what are the ingredients. After reading the ingredients, dapat alam din natin kung ano ba itong ingredients na to. Is it good for our body? So, let's be critical to the food we intake. Remember, pinapasok natin yan sa body natin. So, tayo ang responsible sa sarili nating katawan. So, magiging healthy siya if it's fit your body's needs. So, yun po. Thank you.
Okay, Ma'am Donna, susulitin kita. Okay, we have another question for you. So what are the required temperature to kill pathogens? It's a very general question, but it's a very nice information for everybody. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
What
po,
are the
ma'am.
required
So-
temperature to kill pathogens? Yes po.
Okay po. So I think yung microorganism, they are very diverse and there are different ways to kill pathogenic bacteria sa food. One of this nga is yung thermal processing. As we all know, ito talaga yung pinaka-widely used na to kill the pathogens. And also, temperature is an integral factor sa growth, inactivation, and destruction ng bacteria. But that's generalized na lang kasi naman ang ating pathogens. But according to the World Health Organization, they are rapidly killed at cooking temperature above 65 degrees centigrade. And below that temperature, they can multiply rapidly. Yun yung tinatawag natin danger zone. So, dapat lagi tayong pag nagluluto is above 65 degrees centigrade. Okay po. Thank you. That's all po.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Zhao. Do you have another question? Because I have another one again.
Okay, sige, Ma'am Rhea.
So, okay. So I have here from Mark Joshua. I think this is for Miss Anna. Will I feel immediate happiness after eating healthy foods? So siguro pag kumain ka ng bayabas, sasaya ka na ba or banana? So who's going to answer that? I'm going to repeat. Will I feel immediate happiness after eating healthy foods?
Yes, I'll answer that. Ano, Miss Ria? So,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so mabilis ka bang sasaya after eating healthy foods? Well, according to research, the effects of eating well do not appear as quickly. So, they do not produce the same euphoria that we get from eating comfort food, like yung mga donut, 'di ba? So, kasi si donut, yung comfort food, merong immediate happiness kapag kinain mo. Kaya lang, short term lang siya. Unlike si healthy foods, it will make you feel better and happier for a long run. Again, so comfort foods make you feel good for a while, but very soon you are back to feeling worse than before. So let's opt to choose healthy foods instead.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Anna. Okay, we have here another question. I think this is for Sir Zhao. Okay, for Sir Zhao. Sir Zhao, are you ready? Okay, it says, engaging topic indeed, but I'd like to ask if perceptions matter in disability, altering the discernment of a person in tasting and overall experience of the meal in a plate. Okay, I'll repeat. Engaging topic indeed, but I'd like to ask if perceptions matter in disability, altering the discernment of a person in tasting and overall experience of the meal in a plate.
Okay, thank you, Mad. I believe that there are three factors affecting perception of food. So number one factor is yung mga disorders. So we have disorders or, for example, agisia, loss of sight, color blindness. For the taste, we have the altering taste, we have the decreased taste sensation, we have the loss of taste. So for the odor, yung mahina yung pang-amoy natin kasi mababa na yung mga epithelium cells sa nose natin. So number two na could affect perception is the receptors, because our brain or our receptors send signal to our brain. So dapat pwede yung the food should look like yun yung ating nasa sa ating brain. So number three could affect perception is yung ganung mga factors, because with eating, we perceive the food, what should it look like. So, kailangan pag kumain ka, ito yung dapat itsura ng, for example, yung cake or yung donut. So if expect mo yung cake should be super sweet, or dahil meron kang decreased taste sensation or na-alter mo yung taste buds mo na ang sweet mo is sour, so naibang na yung appetite mo. So kumbaga, nawala ka ng appetite eating. So napektuhan din yung vision, for example, sa color. So, kung ka color blind, ang tingin mo sa red is brown. So parang you can decrease now your appetite in sensing the food within you eat.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Zhao. Of course, pag may masakit sa atin or kunyari wala tayong pang-amoy, of course, maapektuhan ang ating pagkain, right, Sir Zhao? But I have here a question. Sir Mads, I'm going to read. Give me the floor.
Okay,
So,
Ma'am Rhea, go.
so to our speakers, feel free if you want to answer this. Kung sino man, it's very general and it's very timely. It's very nice question. So it's coming from John Frederick Castillo. So you mentioned some food laws regarding food safety. Why do you think there are still many infiltrating violators in the amount of law being enforced? I'm going to repeat, Miss Universe again. Okay. So you mentioned some food laws regarding food safety. Why do you think there are still many infiltrating violators in the amount of law being enforced? Yes, I agree with the question kasi meron na tayong food law, bakit ang dami pa ring nagva-violate? So anyone from our speakers? Ma'am Donna, Ma'am Anna, and Sir Jao?
Yes po. I will take the question. I'll try if I could answer. So, yes, tama po si Sir na marami pa rin nagva-violate ng ating law. This is because nandirito pa rin yung gusto ng mga ating hindi na business owners, some business owners to gain profit, undue gain. So they can commit adulteration and food frauds. Kasi nga, nag-open tayo ng ample opportunity sa kanila. Nakakakita sila ng ample opportunity na sa food business ay nandiyan lang lagi. Hindi yan mawawala. At ang tao ay kumakain. So, kahit may law, and hindi naman siya ganun ka-strict, we have laws, pero yung ating policy and enforcement is hindi ganun ka-strict. Though, tinatake advantage yon ng ating mga food criminals to gain profit sa economic and industrially. So, yun po.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Donna. And I agree. Meron po tayong law, but sometimes there are some na intentionally and unintentionally na nabibreak natin yon. So, yung mga producers natin, that's why we have FTA, we have a lot of government agencies so that they can give us knowledge and then they can provide us information, especially about food safety. Okay, so Sir Mads, do you have more questions for our speakers?
Thank you, Ma'am Ria
Gisa-gisahin natin.
and Sir Joe. Ito, sabi niya, meron bang donut na walang 3S? I'm a donut eater kasi. Sino kayang pwede makakasagot nito? Ma'am Ana, Ma'am Donna?
Suppliers.
Ulitin ko, meron bang donut na walang 3S? I'm a donut eater kasi. Or Sir Joe? Sir Joe?
Siguro
me,
gagawa pa
ako
lang
talaga.
ako, Sir Mads. Yes,
Okay,
Sir
Sir
Joe.
Joe.
Any insight?
Siguro, eat food moderately because as I fitness enthusiast, so parang ayoko naman inhibit akong kumain ng gusto kong pagkain. So I eat moderately so I can enjoy donuts and cakes as well.
Okay, thank you, Sir Joe.
Okay.
Ma'am Ria?
I think yes. This will be the last question, maybe. Okay, so I have here a very nice one. It's coming. It's coming from Mark Joshua. So, since some happy foods can contain mycotoxins, then how can we avoid their presence? I'm going to repeat. I think this is for Ma'am Anna. So, coming from Mark Joshua, since some happy foods can contain mycotoxins, then how can we avoid their presence?
Okay, so thank you for the question again. So how to avoid? Paano natin iwasan yung presence ng mycotoxins? So when we say mycotoxins, kagaya na sinabi ko kanina, there are natural toxins formed by certain molds. So to avoid these mycotoxins, then yung commodities natin dapat free from molds. So paano? So doon pa lang sa farm, again, primary production, ano po? So, dapat makontrol na. If there are existing infections sa field, doon pa lang masolusyonan na. Iba-ibang process ang pwedeng gawin to decontaminate. I think merong chemical treatment, meron din naman heating or use ng mga solvent. Pero yung most common is hand picking. So, hinahandpick lang yung mga contaminated seeds. So, during harvesting and storage, just lower or control the moisture level para maiwasan ang fungal growth nang sa ganun is hindi na mag-proliferate pa yung mga fungi or yung mga mold. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Ana. I do agree. Once po na ang mga nuts natin, sa start pa lang ng ating production, meron na tayong aflatoxin. Even at the end of the production, sometimes it's very hard to kill them or eliminate them. So kailangan quality po ang ating raw materials. That's very important. Kasi that's why we are creating our foods. It's not para pumatay tayo ng ating consumers, of course, in order for us to make them.
Okay, Ma'am Ria? Okay, since my partner, parang nakaka-experience siya ng internet connectivity problem. Okay, Ma'am Ria, may mga pumapasok pa mga questions dito. Are you ready, Ma'am Ana, Ma'am Donna, and Sir Josh? Okay, I will read the question. Baka mamaya kung sino makakasagot sa inyo. How to decide whether the food product you're looking at or sniffing or tasting is safe to eat? Since most of the wet market sells from food raw like veggies and meats. Okay, galing to kay Mark Jesty Lampano. Okay, I'll repeat the question. How to decide whether the food product you're looking at or sniffing or tasting is safe to eat? Since most of the wet market sells food raw like veggies and meat. For Sir, yes, Ma'am Ana? Ay, Ma'am Donna?
Yes. Parang na-answer ko na siya kanina, but let's dive in pa dun sa question since mas detailed siya. So, by merely looking at the product, hindi natin siya makikita. That's the tricky part for the food safety. For the food quality, pwede kasi natin siya makita, no? Nangingitim siya, iba na yung amoy niya, nagkakaroon siya ng spoilage. But for the food safety part, hindi natin siya makikita. That's why, safe handling pag-uwi sa bahay ang gagawin natin. Clean your food, your preparation area, and cook food thoroughly and keep them sa safe temperature, storage temperature. So, dun lang tayo makaka-ensure na yung food na kakainin natin ay safe. So, yun po. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Donna. Okay, pagod na po ba ang ating mga speakers? Okay, do you want more questions? So I have here, Ma'am Donna, susulitin ulit kita. I think this one is for you. So it's coming from Sir Leonard. What are the current trends and challenges that the food industry is facing right now and how it is being resolved? So what are the current trends and challenges that the food industry is facing right now and how it is being resolved? Maybe it's pertaining about siguro tong pandemic, just like ang gusto niyang ipunto. So anyone, speakers, and Ma'am Donna?
I'll try to answer po yan. So sa challenges, kung mag-stick tayo sa ating topic na healthification ng food, the challenges is yung naka-lockdown tayo. Kung narinig yun na yung naging issue before na nahihirapan mag-travel yung mga ating perishables, nagkakaroon ng kasiraan ng food, ng mga gulay, meat. So isa yan sa challenge na talagang tinake ng ating food industry. So good naman, dahil proactive naman sila pagdating sa ganyan. Nagkaroon sila ng kanilang readiness and strategic planning about handling that kind of circumstances. So nagkaroon sila ng scheduling and proper storage and proper storage and handling of food, kung paano nila i-deliver. Like for example, food delivery and food to goes. Nagkaroon sila nag-innovate sila how to reach the consumers and still maideliver nila yung healthy food sa bawat consumer na hindi na-affect yung safety ng product. So, at first, nahirapan, but now, tingin ko, going strong naman tayo sa food industry. So we take the challenges heads on talaga. Good for us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ma'am Donna. I do agree. During this pandemic, of course, lahat tayo nag-sacrifice, lahat tayo nag-adjust. Nobody foresee that this one is coming. So, yung mga pagkain natin, so nakadepende tayo pag minsan sa mga deliveries. So, we need to have our product stable hanggang sa ma-reach niya ang ating mga customers. So, not only stable, but also nasa yung quality nila kailangan on top. Okay, so Sir Mads, you're still there?
Yes, okay. Thank you, partner. I think, Ma'am Donna, talagang susulitin ka ng mga questions na dumarating sa atin.
True.
Okay, Ma'am Donna. Sabi dito, what are your thoughts on supermarkets that make bundles or sale? Sabi niya, on products that are near expiration date. Does this risk food safety? Okay, I'll repeat the question, Ma'am Donna. What are your thoughts on supermarkets that make bundles or sale on products that are near expiration date? Does this risk food safety?
A good question, no? Talagang marami tayo nakikitang ganyan sa supermarket. And of course, ang una mong maisip, bakit siya mas mura? Bakit siya binabundle? Naku, pasira na siguro to. But for me, sa scientific background, kaya nga tayong mayroong expiration date. So, ibig sabihin, good pa siya hanggang sa expiration date. And past that, doon na siya hindi good. Actually, hindi naman siya totally hindi good, pero yun yung sinet ng ating law na dapat ang expiration date ay susundin natin whenever tayo ay magpo-purchase ng food. This is to protect the trade and also the consumer. So yun yung role ng ating government to both protect yung system ng food system natin. So yun yung tingin ko. So kung ikaw ay isang consumer at nakita mo naman siya na mas lesser nakabundle siya, kung tingin mo gusto mo siyang bilhin, pasok pa siya sa expiration date, then it's okay. If ikaw naman ay sobrang conscious, health conscious, and you don't like that, and you can pay more sa tamang price, then you could also go for that. Basta as long as pasok siya sa ating expiration dates. So, yun po ang ating law na dapat susundin. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Donna. Sir Max, singit ko lang.
Yes,
So, sa atin, if you notice when we go to groceries, lalo na yung mga formula milk, lalo na ikaw, marami kang babies, isasabihin sa'yo nung cashier habang ini-scan siya na, ma'am, ang expiration date po ng gatas na ito ay babasahin nila sa'yo. So, it's a good marketing strategy and it's a good way to inform our customer for the expiration date. But the good thing is, we Filipinos, napakahilig po natin sa sale. So,
Yeah, tama yan, Ma'am Ria. Kasi 'di ba, usually yung pag-sale talaga, yung halimbawa, makita lang talaga ng mga Pinoy yan, ugaling Pinoy, 'di ba? Wow, sale, 50% off, 90% off. So syempre, malaking tipid talaga ito, 'di ba? Lalo na sa ating mga medyo talaga yung gipit din sa budget nila. Okay? I think meron pang pumasok na question dito. I think this for Sir Jao siguro ito. Sir Jao? May I call on Sir Jao?
Hello?
Okay,
Sorry.
Sir Jao. Okay, sabi niya dito, why do food trends, especially sa drinks daw, still produce incongruently colored products? Like apple juice po na colored red even if the actual juice is brownish in reality. Okay, I will repeat the question, Sir Jao. Why do food brands, especially sa drinks, still produce incongruently colored products like apple juice po na colored red even if the actual juice is brownish in reality?
On my best practices, this experience, congruence could affect product and also into the marketing perspective. Because for example, sabi nga, producing color ng apple, ginagawang white, gagawing brown, because it could affect perception. Not only perception, sensory perception, but also will impact the consumer perceptions naman din. How can we enjoy or indulge experience or the rewarding experience of eating on the food? And also remember that moderate congruence effect could have also effect din sa mga ating pagkain.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Sir Joe. Yes, Ma'am Ria?
Yes, I'm very sorry I got disconnected, but just like the pandemic, go, go, go pa rin po tayo. Okay, so we need to stand up and then move forward. So I think, Sir Max, it's almost time.
Yes, Ma'am Ria?
So please remind them about the evaluation
Okay.
form.
Okay, thank you participants for talagang sumali talaga tayo sa mga baliktaktakang mga question and
True.
answer. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's move. Just a little reminder, don't forget to answer our evaluation form for the morning session so that we can receive out an e-certificate for this morning session.
May we call on Dr. Braganza, our program chair, School of Food Science and Technology, to take part in the awarding of certificates of appreciation to our resource speakers.
Okay, good morning. I can say that this morning session is really very informative. All our speakers have very good topics, and with the influx of questions, I think many were very interested in this, in the three topics that were presented. Okay, so allow me first to congratulate the three speakers before I present the certificate of appreciation. Okay, so here goes. The first certificate of appreciation is awarded to Miss Ana Marie Marasigan in grateful and sincerest gratitude for her selfless and commendable service rendered as a resource speaker during the conduct of the webinar entitled Food Safety and Food Quality, the Right Mix to a Healthier Lifestyle. Session 1 on the topic Transforming Consumer Perception Towards Healthy Food Options. Okay, specifically on Feel Good Foods That Boost Moods, given this 15th day of October 2021, signed yours truly, the program chair of the School of Food Science and Technology, Miss Ana. Miss Ana is the favorite, I think, with so many questions asked regarding her topic. Okay, Miss Ana, congratulations. Next, the Philippine Women's University School of Food Science and Technology hereby awards this certificate of appreciation to Ms. Donalea V. Paras in grateful and sincerest gratitude for her selfless and commendable service rendered as resource speaker during the conduct of the webinar entitled Food Quality and Food Safety, the Right Mix to a Healthier Lifestyle. Session 1, Transforming Consumer Perception Towards Healthy Food Options, for the topic Future-Focused, Safe and Healthylicious Food, given this 15th day of October 2021, signed by yours truly as the program chair of the School of Food Science and Technology. Miss Donna, congratulations.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you.
And then the third, but of course not the least, we have the Philippine Women's University School of Food Science and Technology hereby awards this certificate of appreciation to Mr. Joshua Jericho T. Del Rosario in grateful and sincerest gratitude for his selfless and commendable service rendered as the resource speaker during the conduct of the webinar entitled Food Quality and Food Safety, the Right Mix to a Healthier Lifestyle, Session 1, Transforming Consumer Perception Towards Healthy Food Options, for the topic From Culinary to Molecular Gastronomy, Changing Taste and Measuring Aroma, given this 15th day of October 2021, signed by yours truly, program chair of the School of Food Science and Technology. Congratulations to the three of you. Well prepared and very informative topics. Okay.
Okay po. Thank you to our beloved program chair, Dr. Braganza, for taking part in the awarding of certificates of appreciation to our resource speakers. Okay, to wrap up, This webinar will be a great avenue to impart knowledge about the current trends in food production and food safety. Also, the topics in this webinar are applicable in our everyday life. Therefore, the pieces of informations can be applied daily.
Thank you so much, our dear participants, and thank you so much, Sir Mads. Our alumni, our speakers, and our teachers, Ma'am Lynn Lorilia and Ma'am Debbie Alcazabas. So our PWU President, Mr. Benitez, our Dean Emeritus, Dr. Paglo, and Program Chair, School of Food Science and Technology, Dr. Braganza. So we would like to invite everybody to attend our afternoon session that will start around 1:30 p.m. See you there, and we promise you there will be good topics for everyone. And once again, thank you everyone, and just an update. Thank you so much to our participants from our FB Facebook page. We have 537 participants, and from our YouTube, it's 168. So stay safe. See you in the afternoon session. Mads?
Thank you, partner. And thank you all for making time in your busy schedules to join us here this morning session. And of course, we would like to thank the ICT team for their technical support. Thank you po. And it's been our pleasure to host this event, and we wish you all a pleasant day. See you in the afternoon session, and God bless.
Bye-bye.